Welcome to Women Who Brand, a podcast that spotlights inspiring women in the creative industry. I'm Alejandra Salazar, founder and CEO of CROING, which is part of the 0.1% of creative agencies founded by a woman, and I'll be your host today. This podcast is part of an initiative of CROING to inspire women in the industry by sharing the journeys and insights of those who are leading the way. Women Who Brand are creative, strategic, and visionary forces in the world of marketing. They make an impact in both the role and the industry as a whole. Whether through campaigns, storytelling, or experiences, they shape how people perceive, interact with, and remember a brand. In this episode, we talk with Emilie Bridon, the Senior Director of America's Consumer Channel and Partner Marketing Lead at Microsoft. This episode is a must for anyone who either sees themselves working long-term at a company or has already spent years in one. Emilie's journey started as an intern, and she has been pivotal in launching major initiatives at Microsoft and working across multiple teams. One of the reasons she has grown within the company and achieved so much is because she's deeply connected to Microsoft's mission, empowering every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. And I'm sure this episode will empower you to achieve more. Emilie genuinely cares about the audience she's trying to reach, and she's a yes person. She does, she goes, she tries, she inspires. So if I were you, I wouldn't miss this episode. Now, please join me in welcoming our next woman who brands, Emilie Bridon. Hi, Emilie. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hi, excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us. For those who don't know her, Emilie is the Senior Director of America's Consumer Channel and Partner Marketing Lead at Microsoft. Yes, Microsoft, you know that company. We met this year in March at the Marketing Summit organized at Age, where she was speaking, and we clicked right away. I remember us talking about my creative agency, CROING, which is currently women-led. We also talk about the challenge of creating content that makes technical topics easy to digest. I share our Sunny case with you, where we did that the same and reached 8 million views organically. And of course, we bonded over the love for podcasts. Thank you, by the way, because that same day you listened to this podcast and even sent me comments about the episodes you listened to. And that made me so happy. It means so much to me to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It's such an honor, and I'm a big podcaster. So when we met and you asked me, I was just so honored to be a part of this podcast and your journey in telling and sharing more with women who brand.
Love it. You have been with Microsoft for many years. How many over?
Now I'm scared to say, but 20 years.
I know. Wow. From our research, you has been pivotal in launching major initiatives like Surface, Microsoft Stores, marketing, and campaigns for Microsoft 365. I'm sure your experience, your journey, and your vision will bring incredible value to this podcast. So again, thank you for joining me. Shall we begin with the interview?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So, Emilie, tell me a bit about your early professional journey. What led you to pursue a career in marketing, and how do you feel about your current role at Microsoft?
I think my journey, how I got into marketing is really because of my entrepreneurial spirit. I think probably stems from my parents. I think both my parents were very entrepreneurial, had their own businesses, were originally from France. So my parents came over to work for a company and then soon fell in love with the United States and decided to stay and build their own company back in the day when CD-ROMs were all the rage. But I think I've always had this entrepreneurial bug, even as a young child, making bracelets and selling them or advertising my babysitting
I've been there.
services. Yeah, but I've always loved building things from scratch or trying and testing new things and just getting people excited. And I always have loved watching commercials and seeing how they're made. Now, being in the industry, it's never as easy as what you see on TV, of course, but I do love telling stories and driving results and kind of seeing how our work comes together. And how I started at Microsoft was really 20 plus years ago. There was an intern opportunity and
Wow.
I joined as an intern intern, I think 21 or 22 years ago, and just started working in communications, building newsletters for our corporate marketing team. And it kind of stemmed from there. And why I was drawn to Microsoft is truly the mission that we have, which is really empowering every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. And that's very
Love
true
it.
today, and how we help people make tech more accessible and just building things that matter, especially in today's age with AI. I think our Copilot, Copilot Plus PC products are really game changers for everybody to
Love
do
it.
more. Yeah.
What a beautiful company. And I love that you said that is that vision. I love companies that have vision, that have purpose, because it really helps you. I mean, in your case, spend 2 decades building because it might align with your own values and your own mission. In my opinion, the only way to be working so long in a company.
Absolutely.
So,
And you have just at Microsoft so many opportunities. I think I've been on 8 or 10 different teams, and you can just move around, and every time it's a different, the culture's still very similar, but
mhm.
the opportunities, the audiences
Love
you're
it.
going after, what you need to achieve are very different. So it's sort of
Love
like a
that.
new company each time.
And how do you feel in your current role?
Oh, I love my current role. I have been on the team, on our retail team, consumer sales organization for 3 years now, and I just accepted a new role as the America's Consumer Marketing Lead. And in
Congrats.
January, yes. And we work with incredible retailers, and our team brings our products to life and creativity side. So Windows, Microsoft Surface, and Microsoft 365 that make the products feel relevant and connected and show up in retail in a way that helps drive conversion. I think the impact that my team makes every day is definitely felt, and I just absolutely love my team, my colleagues, my
Love it.
manager. So it's such a great place to be in a very healthy organization.
Love that. Love that. Throughout these years of experiencing marketing and working with teams, we're going more into your craft.
Okay.
How do you know when an idea or initiative is good? Do you have a specific process or is more of a feeling?
Man, I love this question, and it's such a tough one because it is I think this is cliche, but it is an art and a science. I think for me it really starts about being super clear about what we're trying to do and what we're trying to
Mhm.
achieve. And so you have to, based on the audience you're trying to go after, step into their shoes, really understand that audience and ask yourself, as you see an idea, would this land with them if you were that individual? Would they even care? And so I think great ideas definitely come back to the foundation of understanding what you're trying to achieve, and that all has to come through a brief. I hate to say it, but the more you put into that brief, the better the outcome will be. And I always love it when agencies or team members come back with ideas in different buckets. You always have this idea of, an idea that's really safe and expected and
Uh-huh,
probably something
uh-huh.
you've done before. Maybe another bucket could be like surprises, or like, oh, that's interesting, didn't think of that. And I love it when ideas come back based on the brief that you've submitted are, wow, I had
Wow.
no idea, but I'm getting this special feeling. Do we think this will work? That's why I think it honestly comes down to this art and science, because it is truly about your gut and the insights that make that idea powerful.
Couldn't agree more. It's a combination for sure. Because just feelings will be art and that's it.
That's right.
And it's not art, it's a mix. Love it. In a company like Microsoft, with such a large teams and many different options, ideas, suggestions, opinions, I mean, I imagine it's like a lot. How do you make your voice and creative ideas heard?
And I think for me, it's definitely something I've had to grow into. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
grew up at Microsoft. And
Mm-hmm.
so early in my career, I think being heard meant for me, having the best idea or always speaking up first. But now I kind of have a different approach, and it's about driving, just having that clarity and knowing the timing. We don't always have to be the first. It's just understanding what you're trying to achieve and making sure you have a clear point of view with insights, and you can bring those forward and share those. And so that, I think, as I've grown in my career, I think that shift came from when I really started to listen more and start paying attention and reading a lot more content, to just kind of understand the business, the economy, what's happening in the industry, and really understand as we look at ideas or as we start to look at programs, kind of understand what we're trying to achieve, the goals, or maybe the pressures that we're under, and just making sure that you are speaking up at the right time. And so that's, I think, comes with experience.
Love it. Yeah, it takes time. I ask questions that are also because this podcast is to inspire women, but not necessarily those that are starting their journey,
Mhm.
but those that are in the mid career or even like in the highest point of their careers, because sometimes it's like, okay, what's next? And also a time to remember. I feel it's for every woman in the industry, but it's important because when you start, sometimes it's a different process as the one, after 20 years, how you approach things and how
Yeah.
would you approach it in the past. So I appreciate that you explain the whole process because it's really important for the listeners.
Yeah. And I always try to tell my team that ideas don't come in isolation or by yourself. And so just making
100%.
sure that any idea that you have is that you bring others along in your journey. I always tell my team this, I love rolling up my sleeves and being there with them to generate the ideas because I think that's really powerful to be a part of the process.
Love it, love it. So, Emily, thank you for sharing that. I made you as a speaker, as I said at the beginning, and now you're doing this podcast, and I'm sure many more are on the way. So, to me, that's all part of building a personal/professional brand, and it makes me so happy to see it because the more women incorporate and Creative America do this, the more inspiration we will all have. As I said, not only for women in their early stage of their careers, but especially for those in big roles who still haven't shared their voices with the world, which happens a lot. So, do you ever feel nervous before a podcast or a speaking engagement, or is it natural to you? How did you make the decision yourself to start putting yourself out there in this way? Can you share a little bit of that?
I love this question. For me, I mean, I think everybody can say they get a little nervous. I definitely get nervous, but I think someone on my team once told me kind of before going out on stage or doing anything, take 3 deep breaths and stand like Superwoman. So ground your feet where you're standing, kind of put your arms back and look up and just be like ready to go. That always helps me, especially in upcoming speaking engagements or big internal meetings, just kind of being like, I'm here, I'm ready for it. 3 deep breaths, let's do this. But I also think it comes with, when you're speaking on a topic you're super passionate about, tends to come naturally. Of course, on a topic I'm not very clear
Yeah.
on or don't feel confident, I think I get a lot more nervous. But I think my advice to anybody is take that first step, go, and it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. That's what makes us all human. And I would definitely encourage, recording a quick video and posting on LinkedIn
I
or,
know.
going to meet people in a happy hour that you are like at a networking event that you may not know. You never know the unexpected moments where, you can get those speaking engagements or have that presence and start building your brand.
Love, that is so important. And I hear honestly so many powerful women that are working in amazing roles in companies and they just don't do it. And I'm like, if someone could hear your thoughts, I'm in meeting with clients and I'm like, dude, I wish you post that on LinkedIn because it's so inspiring. I
Well,
love,
that's
I
why
love.
you're here. That's why
I
you're helping us
know.
get our voices out. I
I
think
know.
Women Who Brand is such a powerful platform, and I hope it goes viral and explodes because I think the messages and the women that you're interviewing are just incredible.
Thank you so much, my love, and thank you for being one of them. So, as marketers, we are always looking for innovation, trends, and ways to be part of the cultural conversations that matter. So, making sure Microsoft stays well positioned and top of mind. What trend in marketing excites you the most right now? And how is Microsoft incorporating it in its strategies or communication? If so, maybe the trend that is exciting you the most is not yet working for you. Can you share either or?
Yeah. I think it's tough to pick just one trend. So if you're open to it, I'd love to share a
Of
few. I think it's
course,
really
I would
hard
love it. Yeah.
to pick just one, but the one that comes first, top of mind, would be AI. I mean, I think we're all hearing about it. It's all over the news. I think it's going to change how we work. It already has. And
Yeah.
I use Microsoft Copilot almost every single day. And if you don't, you should definitely check it out because I cannot tell you how fast I'm writing emails these days, how quickly my slides are coming together because of AI. And the idea of opening a blank slide or blank Word document is very difficult because
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes don't know where to start. And the fact that I can just go to Copilot and get an idea really quickly kind of gets the juices flowing to what you're trying to communicate. And so I think from an AI perspective, obviously Microsoft, we've got our own AI technology solutions, but even more so from a marketer, I mean, I think there's huge opportunity for us to help consumers find products faster by leveraging AI, whether it's
Yeah.
in, retail support or from an online tool perspective. I think there's huge opportunity there. So I would say AI first and foremost. I would say the other one, because I'm closest where my team sits from a retailer perspective, but retail media networks are huge. And if you aren't investing in retail media networks, I highly encourage anybody to start exploring it because it isn't about going to a retailer that sells your product. Retail media networks have a plethora of audiences and a huge reach to be able to advertise on their own network. And so they allow us to really track things that I think other traditional media doesn't allow us to do and target specific audiences that we haven't been able to reach before. So I think the level of
Mm,
sophistication and the reach that some of our retailers have are just incredible. So I'm thinking retail media networks across Amazon, Best Buy,
love
Walmart. I
it.
mean,
Love
all have retail media networks, and I highly encourage you to check those out. And then the last one, which is a topic I'm very passionate about, would be creator marketing. I think creator marketing, of course, is, I think, exploding very fast. I think data out there is saying, I think I just read something that's saying like 71% of consumers who have watched or seen a creator piece of content are influenced to purchase that
Yeah.
product. So that's
It's like it's a
massive.
bit it's basically person to person,
Absolutely. And especially, I mean,
mouth to
nowadays,
mouth.
a lot of it has to be reach has to be driven with media, but I think creators are becoming agencies, they're becoming directors, they are creating the most trusted content that we have out there.
Yes.
As Microsoft, what we're doing with creators is truly engaging with them to build a community, but also to bring their content to life. I think it all starts for us first of what we're trying to achieve and the story we're trying to tell, and allowing them to do that in an organic way.
Yes.
After we've helped them solve the problems from a tech perspective that's most important to them. So they have the great solution, great services that Microsoft offers, and then they tell the story and we bring that content to life across our retailer sites, our advertising platforms, and of course on social. But I think the opportunity to drive such powerful engagement with this content is limitless, honestly. I think for me, this is the place, if you're not investing in, I would highly recommend doing that.
Love it. I couldn't agree more. It's super important. Of course, AI, and I'm curious about the retailer media that you mentioned because I'm sure the data that they can offer is fantastic.
Mhm.
And definitely creators because it's really storytelling. It's like the
100%.
source of a storytelling. And the way they tell the stories to the audience they build, if brands don't listen to it, to me, it's like the way they tell the story is how you should talk or know about your brand. It's not anymore you building the brand yourself. It's how people perceive your brand, and those creators are influencing others. So it's obvious, but yes, still not as considered as it should.
I know, I know.
But
And
I
the
love
content, that comes that we see because we make the investments early to build those relationships feels human. There's so much authenticity and
yeah.
connection that it is such a miss not to invest in this space. Now, I will say, not everybody's a believer, right? I think as marketers, it's showcasing how you're going to measure that impact. And so
Yeah.
that's what I think the evolution of creator marketing really needs to go is into how we're going to measure success
Measurement,
when it
yes.
comes down to it.
Agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. What, in your opinion, is the hardest generation or target audience to reach right now and why?
Such a great question. I would say, I think the hardest generation to reach right now is probably, for me, still Gen Z. we're very focused on Gen Z and sort of, students and, what are the pain points and what are the pressures in society that they're facing that we could help support, not necessarily solve, but help support or encourage to help them get where they want to go. So I think that for me would be the hardest audience to still reach. We don't necessarily target all the time the student audience. And so anytime we do during the back to school season, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's so important to really understand and do that research because it's always evolving.
Yes, it is evolving for sure. So, last question of this section. If you were a brand yourself, what would be your personal slogan and brand colors?
So, a little bit about me. I love to travel. So, I feel
Too.
like I had a side hustle during COVID around travel. So, I think for me, probably around always take the adventure. I think for
Love
me, that would be my
it.
slogan because I love to travel. I love seeing new places, experiencing new cultures. I really get a lot of inspiration from that. And so I think during COVID, I missed that. So I felt like I
Mm.
needed to create that for the world. And my brand color to go along with the theme of adventure is turquoise. As I look around my room, I have a lot of
Love
turquoise. I
it.
just love it because it's just such a happy color. It reminds me of the ocean
Beautiful.
and it's a bold color, but it's very calming and soothing. So those would be
That's right.
my color. That would be my
Love it. Love it. Awesome. So now let's move to the second part of the podcast, which is more specific. You mentioned a little bit about how you guys invested earlier on creator economy and build those relationships, and now, you are seeing the results. But I'm wondering, what would you say is your next challenge from your role and like in your
Mhm.
perspective? What are you looking for this year or the upcoming years? What would you say? Because again, you said that Gen Zs are still a hard audience to reach, and you mentioned about the relationship with creators, but what would be your next challenge or the opportunity you see for your team? Where is your head at right now? Anything you can share, of course.
Yeah, I think two things. Sometimes, as marketers, we're always chasing the next big idea, the next big
Mhm.
campaign. But I think in order to drive success, you need to go back to basics. And I
Mhm.
think that's something that we don't talk about often. And so I think sometimes we're checking the box on saying, yeah, of course I'm running social, of course I'm doing search, I'm doing display, but what does that really mean? And have we really uncovered and sort of lifted the covers to kind of see exactly how it's working? Are you going after the right audiences? Are you bidding on the right things? It's not sexy, but this idea of executional excellence at the most basic level, I think getting those fundamentals is
Mm.
how we continue to gain traction and show growth because I think sometimes we're just chasing that big campaign idea and what that looks like, but how do all these pieces work together and connect? And so for me, that's a big part of what I'm pushing my team to really look at is just to make sure as everything is fired on, are they all working together? Are we optimizing in the right way? And have we done everything possible? So at the end of the campaign or end of the season, we're like, wow, we left nothing on the table. And so it really is kind of digging into all of the details there.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Eh,
I would say that is one of the biggest ones. And then the other piece is from with our retailers, with
Mhm.
consumers going back into store and
Yes.
shopping, I think how do we make sure that our in-store experiences
Mhm.
are the best of the best? And so how do we add value potentially with events and what that would look like as we
Love
work
it.
with our retailers throughout the different seasons, whether it's back to school or holiday or spring? How do we drive, educational events, interesting events, especially with some of our products that may be difficult to understand or
Mm.
fully immerse yourself in. For example, Microsoft Copilot, our AI solution, you can watch a video, but experiencing it for yourself firsthand is sort of the best way. And so, how do we bring those experiences to life in store and invite people to come experience that? So, I
Love
think
it.
those would be kind of the two things going back to basics and then focusing on in store.
Love that. It's super exciting. I can't wait to see those future projects and campaigns. So, this is the almost last part.
Okay.
This is a quick fire round. I will ask you a few questions. You say whatever comes to your mind. It's super easy and fast. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Commercial spot or social media?
Social media.
Who creates the company? The people or the team?
The team.
Communication in the US, Spanish, English, or both?
Both, but can I add French since
Of
I'm
course, of course. Oui. Global campaigns or hyper local initiatives?
Hyper local initiatives.
Digital first or retail first strategies?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Digital first.
Last but not least, what's your favorite Microsoft product or service to use?
Microsoft Surface. I've had a Surface for over 10 years and I absolutely love how portable it is. And our most recent devices have over 20 hours of battery life. So that
Wow,
is incredible. I literally go on a flight, get to a meeting, and I still have battery life at home, when I
love
get to my
it.
hotel. So I would say the Microsoft Surface is my absolute favorite product.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you. So, to
Mhm.
close this episode, Emily, I'll ask you two more questions and we will close. What does it mean to you to be a woman who brands? And what advice would you give to a woman in the creative industry?
I would say, I have a 5-year-old, so I think this question really resonates because I always think of her in what I'm doing and am I setting the right example? And so she's already a really bold, creative, full of ideas little girl.
Baby.
And I and I want to make sure that she grows up into this crazy world that we have, that she doesn't feel like she has to be perfect. And so I recently met, as I have the book on my desk, Dr. Amelia Regstad. She wrote this book called Hello, Miss Perfect.
Okay.
And she talks about how so many women feel pressure to perform, to be perfect, to overachieve, to hold it all together. I think we do so much. And I definitely have lived that. And I would say what I've learned, it's that life isn't about being perfect. And so women who brand isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, being present, and be willing to learn and grow. I think that for me is what that women who brand means.
Love it. Thank
And
you.
then my advice would be stop waiting to be ready. I wish someone had shared that with me earlier in my career. I think take that mic, share your idea, go on a podcast.
Oh my God,
Life is
yes.
messy. Live it, learn it, be loud, because you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. And so that would be my advice is just
Love
be
it.
real and let your voice be heard.
Is so important for me really to have this podcast. It took me more than a year thinking like what's the name. And my sister, she's the VP of sales at CROING, and she's like, Ale, you should do it. And I'm like, yes, but I need the perfect this and that and that, and I need a full place to go. And she did her podcast, which is Women Who Network, which I also recommend. And she has done 50 episodes already. And when I saw her doing it, I'm like, what am I waiting? Like I just need to do it. She's my older sister, and she always showed me that really you don't need to wait. And she just trusts in herself, in
Wow.
myself, and in everyone around so much that it's just so inspiring. And for me, having her has been that constant reminder that I can do anything I
Uh-huh.
want. But when you say it sounds so beautiful because it's
Oh,
really necessarily to just do it. And we can
just
be
do it.
scared. We can
Yeah,
be
and don't
scared, of course. I was scared before this interview and I always get a little bit scared. But then I'm like, you know what? We are all trying to cheer up each other. We are all trying to learn. I can be scared, but that doesn't need to stop me
stop.
to
Yep.
do the things that I need to do.
Yep. I love that. I love that. That's why I think take the mic and be bold and share your ideas with the world. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's
Love
what we need
it.
to keep pushing for.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Emily, for letting
Thank
us know
you.
more about you, for sharing your insights, your experience, your advices. And to all women who brand listening or reading, remember your voice matters and your creativity has the power to inspire and lead. Until next time. Ciao. Gracias.
Thanks. Oh my gosh, that was so